Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about why we even set SAG in the first place. The main reason generally is to make sure that the rear spring we have on the bike is the correct spring. Now, how we do that is we start with our static SAG, which is just the rear wheel off the ground, and then put the wheel back down and take a measurement and put the wheel back on the ground, and then lower the bike and capture that measurement. Now that measurement generally is around 35 millimeters on most bikes, adult size bikes. After that, we put the rider on there and take the next measurement, which is called race SAG. And that measurement will tell us whether the spring is in the right place or not. Generally, on most bikes, we want it to be 95 to 105. So right around 100 to 105 generally is where you end up, if the spring rate is correct. Okay, so that tells us if the spring rate is correct. The next thing after that, now does that tell us whether the front springs are correct or not? No. And that is a whole different issue, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, now the reason we want to do this is that so we can balance the bike out. Assuming the front end of the bike, the forks have got the correct springs in them, or air, if they're air forks or a combination, whatever. Having the SAG correct helps us determine if the front end and the bike is behaving as it should. All right, so if we had too stiff a spring on there, the spring was too stiff, then that causes the motorcycle to ride a little bit like that. And it doesn't take much of that kind of a ride to make a difference. I got a good example on my own bike, and I'll talk about it if I have time. But well, we want the ride to be as level as we can, because if it's like this, then you're putting weight on the front end, and that will make the bike knife or go out from underneath it, knife or slice or whatever you want to call it when we're going to a corner or making a turn, or even if we had a little muddy spot or something, that it can make the bike go out from under you easily. All right, now if it's the second way, if the spring is too soft and the bike's riding like this, the stink bug effect we call it, then the front end tends to push or slide out from under you that way. And that's a bad situation too, especially in a corner. So setting the SAG helps us do that. The second thing it does, it just helps us balance the bike. So that's what SAG is all about, is to get that stuff correct from the get-go, hopefully. Now, as far as the front forks are concerned, you don't do any of that setting SAG or anything like that. I have seen numbers floated around for SAG, but it's a big variable. And the manufacturers do it by, physics and doing it so much and knowing exactly what kind of spring rate on the front goes with the spring rate on the back. You do it by preload, adding more spacers to the spring on the front. You can do it a little bit with oil height and stuff like that. So, and of course, if it's air forks, with increasing or decreasing air pressure. So those are the combinations of things you're trying to do, and you're trying to get the attitude of the bike pretty much level, so that it's not pushing on you going to a corner, and it's not knifing on you going into a corner. Or, as it happened to me twice now on my other bike, it knifed in just a little bitty sweat spot that shouldn't have, and then just another time it just knifed on me. We rely on the manufacturers to tell us what's going on. Now I want to just talk quickly about my bike. My bike is 300, but it has PDS suspension on it. By PDS, I mean the shock is attached on those bikes on the frame at the top and on the swing arm itself at the bottom. It's not attached to the linkage that's on the bottom of the, below the swing arm. Well, my bike, I lowered it an inch on both ends, And what I've noticed lately is that it starts to knife a little bit. It's done it twice to me recently, and I don't get to ride that much anymore. So twice is too much. And I've noticed that the bike looks a little high in the rear end. Now, just to clarify that, PDS suspensions tend to be a little bit higher. And I think what's going on, and I'll confirm this when I get a chance to get in there and redo the suspension, I think what's going on is that when I lowered it an inch, I either didn't get it an inch or I should have allowed for that PDS higher suspension effect. I should have allowed for that and maybe add a little bit more spacers to lower the bike an inch or a little more than an inch. I'm going to get that straight. To be honest with you, I did the front end of that bike, got it handled cushy, great, and stuff like that. But I haven't even touched the rear end. I haven't had time to do it. I've been so busy with other bikes and projects and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm going to get on that very soon. Okay, that concludes this portion of this little lecture, okay? And what I want to do now is I'm going to go back to pause, and then we're going to go actually set the suspension on the other bike.